Hello, so today we will see how to develop common sense. And first we will see what common sense is, then why develop it, and then we will see 8 axes of how to develop it. So what is common sense? Common sense is basically intelligence. It is intelligence in practical life. It is sound judgment and sound perception of concrete events. It is practical wisdom, the fact of being well adjusted to situations, well adapted to society and life, and to react correctly in concrete situations so as to get an overall satisfaction from life. So now, why develop common sense? Common sense is very important to be a balanced personality. It is very important to be adapted and to get satisfaction from life. It is very important to perceive things as they are, not distant things or abstract things, but concrete things, the things we meet in everyday situations, such as physical things or people. So to be balanced, to be sane mentally, not to have any mental disorder, one needs to have common sense before developing self-actualization or before developing the levels of consciousness or before developing spirituality. So we see often that people who try to develop levels of consciousness or spirituality don't work on common sense, and I think that working on common sense is very underrated. So now 8 axes to develop common sense. So first axis, you should discard all specialized or technical knowledge. You should base your knowledge on everyday life, on practical situations which you meet, and you should not use technical concepts, technical theories, or your specialization, but you should try to see things directly. Second axis, avoiding theorizing. You should come to life without theory and even without any ideology. What you should perceive with common sense is self-evident and is not a matter of debate. So if you approach a situation with a preconceived theory or with heavy concepts from philosophy or from sociology or from psychology, if you use an ideology like Marxism or a religion, then you will not be in common sense. Common sense is shared by whole human and by humans from 7 years old on. Axis 3 is simplicity. You should always try to keep it simple. Don't make complicated judgments. Don't try to multiply the hypotheses, to multiply the principles, to make a complicated reasoning. Common sense is very simple. It is like the Occam's razor. It is the simpler, the truer. Always try to find the simplest explanation and use it, and only the simplest explanation until further information is given. Axis 4 is pragmatism. Common sense tends toward efficiency. So you should always ask work, what will be the results of it? If I do this, will it be positive or negative for myself and for others? So you should be turned towards action, turned toward results, and not be in principles or this should work or I'd like that it work. No, does it work really? Observe, does it work in real life? makes experiences. Axis 5 is a little bit different, is holding to tradition. So tradition has much of wisdom in it, and unless there is a compelling reason not to follow tradition, I would suggest that common sense is following the way the culture has taught us. So if there is no strong reason to not follow the culture, follow the tradition, and maybe not only the current tradition but the very old tradition, because with modern ideas sometimes the old traditions are being reversed. So follow tradition, follow the experience of mankind, follow the wisdom of mankind, and unless there is a strong reason not to follow tradition, for example, tradition says to get married, so if you have no reason not to get married, try to get married. Tradition says to have children, so if you have no strong reason not to have children, get children. Traditions say 3 meals a day, so if you have no strong reasons not to eat 3 meals a day, eat 3 meals a day. Then axis 6 is experience. Experience means learning, means observation. So you should use your experience to observe concrete situations, observe how people react, observe the consequences of your acts and of the acts of others, and try to get feedback. Try something and really study the feedback you have received. Try to always not fall into ideology, but always be open to the feedback. And this brings us to axis 7. Axis 7 is staying open. So be open, use critical sense, and don't fall into the trap of blindly following either tradition or a dogma or an ideology or a theory, but be open to changing your beliefs if new information is coming. And axis 8 is observing people. Observe sound people, observe healthy people, and how they are connected to the real life, how well they are adapted, and take a model in people which are well adapted, how they behave towards the world, towards things, towards others, towards themselves, and observe those people. So to sum up, how to develop common sense: avoid specialized knowledge or technical knowledge, avoid theorizing and ideology, try to aim at simplicity, try to aim at efficiency, try to follow tradition as much as possible, try to learn from your experience, try to use a critical sense with openness, and try to observe reasonable people around you. So thank you for listening, and please leave a comment.